Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood-turning tools. Made by a woodturner, for woodturners. Today's project is a twist on a classic woodworking project called a bandsaw box, where you literally cut the drawers out of one piece of wood with a bandsaw and you can't tell how it happened. They look like they're one piece. My YouTube buddy, Carl Jacobson, tackled this project about 4 years ago, and I liked what he did, but I wanted to go a little bit different direction and actually minimize the use of the bandsaw. We'll use it some, but not a lot today. And what you need for this project: we're using a 4-inch square by 5-inch long piece of big leaf maple burl, and it needs to be kiln dried, and this is beautiful stuff. And then the same way, kiln dried cocobolo, and this is about 3 inches by 3 inches, and you're gonna need about 4 inches in length. This is 6 inches. I got a little extra on there because I have some cracking on the wood that I have. And then you're gonna need a 1-inch by 1-inch by 3-inch piece of holly. And we're gonna put all these together, and we're gonna be making this box. But the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the big leaf maple over to the lathe and make this shape. Okay, I've mounted the maple blank in between centers right now. You notice I have an arrow right here. It's tough when you have a burl like this, figuring out which way the grain direction goes, because it swirls and stuff. And so I think that's the grain direction. It looks right. And if you sometimes just peel this, it's really hard to see, but if you peel it and there's no fibers coming off, you know the fibers are aiming that way, kind of. I'm gonna turn this down low, turn it on, and I'm going to get my roughing gouge. And since the grain direction is so squirrely, the roughing gouge is going to be kind of rough on this. But I just want to get it down to a cylinder so I can then put a tenon on the end and reverse it and put it in the chuck jaws. Because my whole goal is to then take a large spindle gouge to do the final shaping. As always, I'm just taking my time, taking light cuts. I have the tool handle into my side, and I'm shifting my weight straight across, and I'm using the tool rest as my guide for making a straight line. And my fingers tell me how deep I'm going to put the tool, because I'm going to pinch them and let the tool feed in. Once it starts feeding in, I pinch down on the tool, and the tool won't go any further in. So this will take a couple minutes, and then we'll have a round cylinder. Yeah, we're getting where we want to be. I picked the speed up a little bit as it gets a little more round. You can do that. Let's see how we're doing. Whoa, big boy. Yeah, looks good. I mean, I'm really close here. So the next thing I want to do is make my tenon to fit into my dovetail jaws. And I want to get a parting tool to start this with. Turn this back up. The jaws I have, you can make a tenon about 2 3/8 inch, the ones I'm using today. And so I'm going to part this down to get to that size. And I'm kind of eyeing it in right now. By the way, this piece of maple burl, when you buy something like this, it'll have a wax coating on it most of the time. And Cook Woods, who supplies me with a lot of wood, the reason they do that is to prevent extra moisture getting into the wood and moisture getting out of the wood too quickly, because it'll crack the wood. Let's see, we're almost there. That looks good. Doesn't have to be perfect. And so what you really want to do is buy the wood that you think you're going to want to use in the future whenever you see it on sale. And it's really cool because I know Cook Woods has a turning wood blank sale once a week, and that's nice. But to give you an idea about this piece of wood, I bought it in 2001, and it's been sitting on the shelf ever since, just waiting for a project just like this. So I know this is really dry. It's not going to crack on me. Now I'm taking my parting tool that I've ground at an angle. I think a lot of you are familiar with that, because I need to make a tenon shape to fit into the jaws of my chuck. And so I'm just going to lightly bump that in there, take a little bit of wood at a time. It's in a scraping position. This is down, my handle's up. There we go, like that. Now I want to come in this way and just cut into the edge a little bit because I want this part right here to touch the top of the jaws. Not this part. If it touches further out, I have a stronger hold. So now I've got that. We're going to reverse it and put it in the chuck. Now I've got the blank reversed. I went ahead and parted off the end to clean it up. It was a little wobbly. But the piece right now is on the lathe like this. So this is the top part, and here's the bottom. And actually I'm using almost every millimeter of this blank that I can. We're going to clean this up just by sanding it a little bit, take it to the bandsaw. Up here, I'm scooped it out so you can put a ring or something like up there, so you can just grab it in the morning. Your wife will like that, or you might like that yourself. Pull the drawer out, you know, you have things in it like that. But anyway, all we're going to do is just make a nice little shape, a couple beads on each end. To start that off with, remember I said the roughing gouge is a little rough on the wood because the grain direction runs so many different ways. So what I'm going to use now is a swept back spindle gouge, and this is a shallow depth spindle gouge. You can see there's not a lot of groove in there. And what that does is that actually keeps it from vibrating a lot. So it's a nice tool for doing some heavy cuts and having a lot of support. Anyway, the first thing I want to do is establish the end of the bead over here. And so I'm just curving it, taking a little bit at a time. And actually, that was pretty nice. So let's establish the side of the bead over here. So I'm starting the tool, I'm raising the handle, and just making a slight cut, sneaking up on it. If you can't make your beads perfectly round, don't kill yourself over it, because you can always sand them a little bit and bring the shape back to where you want it. And like I said, I'm trying to use as much of this blank as I can. One, because it's beautiful wood, so why waste it and turn it all away? Now, if you wind up with a lousy looking shape, you need to turn it back down a little bit more, make a nice shape. But the other thing is that if I take too much of the diameter off of this, my drawer then will be way too shallow. So I won't be able to store a lot of stuff in it. Now on this end over here, I'm going to go ahead and try to match that bead size and radius. And that's always the fun part. Trying to make two things look the same. Well, I guess one thing wouldn't look the same, one thing would be just by itself. But you get the idea, you have to make them both look similar. So I'm just taking the tip in here, and I'm rotating the tool, lifting the handle, and it starts to cut. Come back here, do it again. Just take a little more off that bead. And then I'm coming back this way and taking the diameter down a little bit. Look like a action figure here, don't I? Let's move this a little ways over here. Here we go. They're coming in here. Now, whenever you reverse something that you have between centers into a chuck, you will be a little bit out of round, so you can come in here and just take a really light cleaning pass, and it will smooth out the surface. And why am I doing that? Because when I start sanding, it will help me out. And we're going to sand once we get the shape the way we want it. And then we're going to go to the drill press to put in that nice big honking hole that's going to hold the drawer. Now, we're going to dish the end out. And I'm using my small 3/8 inch spindle gouge with a swept back grind. And I have the tool to where I can lean my handle down a little bit, and then it's on center like that. So you just want to work your way in a piece at a time here. And remember, as you get in towards the center of the wood, it's moving fewer feet per second, so your cut speed will slow down. So you just take your time and let the tool feed. Don't try to push it through. If you push it through, you'll tear out the grain. And especially with something like this burl, with the grain going all different directions, it's all swirled around, you can tear the grain fairly easily. I'm just pulling this back and leaving the heel in contact, and then I just twist my body and let it slide back in again. So I finish the cut, heel's still in contact, I just pull it back, I twist my body, the tool's already in the proper presentation, so it just starts going in. Now one thing, don't dish it out too deeply or it'll go into the hole that the drawer is going to go into. That wouldn't be good. And I'm not doing a lip on the inside because I want somebody to be able to grab something and just let it slide out. I don't want the lip getting in the way of your hand. Now like that, you see a little flat spot right there? That's gonna sand out. When you can get in trouble with this tool is when you try to come right to this edge and make the cut because it'll skip back on you. So sometimes it's better just to leave well enough alone and go, okay, I'm good with that. And that looks good right there, and I think I'm good with that. So I'm gonna sand from there and the side. I'm probably gonna take this down to 320 grit because I want this burl to really pop once I get the finish on it. I'm gonna make one more flowing cut here. One more almost flowing cut. There we go, that looks good. Now that this is all sanded, you can really see the beauty of this burl come out. And there's not even a finish on here. But look at all these little eyes, bird's eyes in here, and then you have the chatoyance as the light reflects through there. Now, you have to figure out where you want to drill the hole because you don't want to take out great burl like this. But at the same time, if I put it right here on this bland side, I don't see a lot of beauty to the edges, right? So it's a compromise. And I'm thinking in my mind right here, I have nice burl here, I have nice burl over here. If I was to probably drill a hole right in this area here, then I've lost a little burl, but I do have beauty on either side. So the first thing I want to do is take my ruler here, and this is 4 1/4 inches long, and so 4 1/2 inches long. So there's 2 1/4, right there's the center that way. Now I need to make one more line, and it's really important, and I'm going to use my tool rest to make it. I want to make a line that goes like here, right? And now I'm going to continue the line on down to the bottom here because I'm going to use this to help me line this up on the drill press. That's looking good. This segment's going to be a lot more talk than do, but I had to do some very careful aligning and clamping here. Okay, you see this line going up and down right here. It is perpendicular here. That's that mark I made up on the edge in line with the center. So now I know it's going straight up and down. Then I actually set the depth of my drill bit to come down to here, and you can see that edge. So I'm just illustrating. That's how deep that hole will be. You don't want to go any deeper, you'll go out the side. Then you'll wind up with, I don't know, a peephole in your box there. So anyway, this is set up. I've got it clamped here. I'm using a V-jig to hold it. That's meant for holding cylindrical objects, which is really nice the way it does that. It keeps it from rolling. But also to keep this from twisting a little bit like this, I put a large wood clamp on here to hold the edge so it's not going to roll over. So the next step, we're going to start drilling. And I've got a 2 1/2 inch Forstner bit in here. And this one has this wonderful tooth shape to it, which helps it cut in really, really well. So we're going to turn this on, and we're going to take our time. You don't want to rush this part of the process.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a woodturner for woodturners.